everybody, Matt here from Matt's Movies, Music and More, welcoming you to another episode of What Did You Think? And with me, my special guest is Andrew.
Hello.
The movie we're talking about today, as picked on the previous episode from the Twister Spinner, it landed on Sci-Fi. And the movie that was on Sci-Fi was the movie from 2011 called Attack the Block, directed by Joe Cornish, famous from the Adam and Joe Show on Channel 4, and starring Jodie Whittaker, John Boyega, Luke Treadway, and Nick Frost. Now, as our little disclaimer, as we normally have in these videos at the beginning, we had this movie picked on the list. So, Andrew, had you seen this movie before we had it come up on this list? And if so, when was the last time you saw it?
I saw it when it came out in cinemas back in 2011. I can't remember very clearly which cinema it was and under what circumstances, but my little log of films I've seen that I keep insists that I saw it the week after the Saoirse Ronan movie Hannah, but the week before Pirates of the Caribbean 4. So that's where it lists in my canon of things I've seen.
So kind of a random bunch of movies that come out in that short period of time.
Yeah, indeed.
Because a lot of those movies are kind of sort of forgotten, I guess. I mean, Hannah's not one that's talked about very often.
No.
The Pirate sequels, give or take, some of them are fondly remembered, some not so much. And this one, Attack the Block, it wasn't the hit that I think the studios were anticipating, because according to the budget and the box office, it said it would cost £8 million to make.
Yeah.
In the UK box office, it only took 4.1, so that was a loss of nearly half. But I suppose the interest that it has now through many of the people, because at the time I think the selling point was the fact that it's got Nick Frost in it.
That would have been probably its biggest catch-all selling point, like you say, based purely on the success of the Edgar Wright Shaun of the Dead.
So it's produced by Naira Park, who produced the other films in the Cornetto trilogy, as well as Space and the Adam and Joe Show and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But obviously now, it's now famous for the fact that it now has John Boyega, who is now known to everyone worldwide as Finn in the Star Wars movies.
Thanks to Star Wars, yes, this has gained more interest, yes.
And also, as well as that, we have the lead actor, or actress in this case, Jodie Whittaker, who shortly after making this, she was cast with a pivotal role in the ITV TV series Broadchurch with Olivia Colman and David Tennant. And now, as Andrew would say, she's now gone on to bigger and better things.
As the first female Doctor Who, yes.
Which, by the time this episode will be airing on here, is not too far away that the episode will actually be shown. Or, in fact, it might have already been shown. Sorry about the heads up there.
Yeah, but basically you have a movie that opens with the 13th Doctor being mugged by Finn.
So tell me the plot of Attack the Block, because with this one I found it really, really difficult to summarise this plot. I mean, I've got a Wikipedia page in front of me to help me with this, but to be honest, without being disrespectful, I found it very difficult to understand what the people were saying because of their, what you would call, chav language.
Street lingo. I will say that that is my... I like the movie. I'll probably say that right off the bat. If I have anything negative to say about this movie, back when I saw it and when I saw it again for the purposes of this video, I needed subtitles.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's my upbringing or simply the social class I belong in, but it's basically, it's an alien, bruv, believe it, trust. We got to do this, man. I got to get out of here, get to the block, and you've got to believe, mate. 2 hours of this.
I'll be honest with you, I'd never seen the movie before doing this review. In fact, a lot of the films that I've suggested on this list are films that I haven't seen. There will be some that I have seen that I suggested. But again, I agree with you. I think subtitles would have really helped. I suppose in America, this movie would have had to have been subtitled like they did with Trainspotting in the 1990s, right?
I can either imagine such a scenario, or many American critics simply going, "I didn't get this movie," or "I didn't understand this."
Because again, this was a movie that came out around the time where this sort of street language was sort of being used more in film, with, I suppose, the release of a film called Ill Manners with Plan B, which is not really something that interests me at all, but that sort of talk, that sort of street talk, I suppose that represents London, England, at this moment in time now, in which we have a multicultural society of people from ethnic backgrounds all over the world that are now living there. Because you have coloured actors in this film, you have white actors who are trying to act like coloured characters with their talking and stuff, and yet when they do the classic thing, which is like the kids do, which is they'll talk in that street language to each other, but when they go home they talk normal English to their family.
I did notice that once or twice, yes.
Yes.
To go over the plot very briefly, a recently graduated nursing student, Samantha, is mugged walking home at night by this gang of kids. And the kids go on to basically discover an alien in the park that's just landed. They beat it up and they're pretty proud of themselves and take it back to their council estate block as a trophy, and then dream of all the money on eBay and the credibility that they're going to get. They have to hide it out in their neighbour's weed den, and they tell the local drug dealer about it, who is that's all right. Or they get to meet their local drug dealer, High Hats, who's pretty much the human villain antagonist of this movie. This is my block and all that. Meanwhile, Sam is told the police about them, and she's living in the same council estate block. But then more aliens land, and because it's a British holiday, bonfire night, fireworks are going off all over the place, so nobody else notices. So cue mayhem, because the aliens are coming after them for reasons that aren't immediately apparent. In the midst of this carnage, the gang leader's truck gets destroyed, so now he's after them, and they ultimately collide again with the nurse, who they're forced into a tense alliance. Have I covered that decently?
I think you've covered it pretty well, but I think it could have done with, at the movie's beginning, having a little bit saying at the bottom that it's bonfire night, because I didn't realise it was bonfire night in the movie until near the end when they were saying about it, but it wasn't very clearly shown in my
There's
opinion.
a bit in the middle when they see the meteorites landing and go, "Oh no, there's more aliens, we're going to kill more aliens," but Nick Frost goes, "Oh no, it's just fireworks."
But with the film itself, it's like the fact that they killed this alien, that's the reason why the alien attack happens, isn't it?
That is the ultimate plot development, yes, because that was the mother alien or whatever, so they've got the pheromones on them.
Yeah, because without spoiling it too much, but I recall you didn't mention it, which is that the aliens are actually blind when there's no light. Is that right?
Yeah, they're basically these black wolf-like shapes with glowing teeth.
Yeah, so you can see them in the dark if they open their mouths. If they keep their mouths closed, you can't see them.
Yeah.
What did you think of the special effects in this film regarding the CGI on that? Because I thought that they looked quite scary.
Yes. Well, the jaws, or
yeah, I think the fact that the jaws glow in the dark, I think, is quite good.
That is a good visual hook. Yes.
But what confused me is the fact that I haven't seen this movie before, and I hadn't seen this other one that I'm going to mention. But when I heard the title "Attack the Block," it automatically makes me think of another film with a very similar poster called The Raid, which I haven't seen, and I assumed that Attack the Block would be in like the style of like The Raid, because obviously The Raid is about, attacking a block, like a council estate or something like that. But I've never seen The Raid. I hope we'll cover that on here at some point. But going back to Attack the Block, I'm really surprised at how much on-screen charisma John Boyega has.
Yeah, right off the bat you can tell why this was his breakout hit. because he has to be the leader of these group of kids and pull off a plot twist about his background or his family that I won't spoil here, and make it all convincing. He convinces you as the gang leader that these kids want to follow and they respect.
Which, interestingly, his character name's called Moses. So
yeah,
everyone's following Moses.
Yes, obvious symbolism is obvious. Yes.
Yeah. So, what you said you really enjoyed this film, yeah?
I did. I remember enjoying it when I saw it at the cinema. It's probably helped that the director was Joe Cornish, and I was a big fan of Adam and Joe back in the day. So whatever it was, I wanted him to do good. But I was surprised how competently is too small a word, but how well executed this is put together. Firstly, in terms of its initial concept, I mean, in Hollywood you want the one line pitch, which the common viewer can understand it in one word or one pitch, and in this it's hoodies versus aliens. That is not enough to make you go, okay, that's what the movie's about. And, oh, that I'm actually interested in how something like that would go.
But don't you think that having a title like that, Hoodies versus Aliens, could automatically relegate it to the DVD bargain bucket?
Which is probably why they chose something like Attack the Block, which probably confused many people, sorry, like you, that thought it was an action movie like The Raid, but...
would it have hindered the movie had it had the title Attack the Block, bruv?
I don't think they would have. I don't think they would have gone that far.
No, because I just think that really, if you aren't involved in that world of urban London, I think this movie, the way that the characters talk, it can really confuse you with the way they talk. If you're not from that background, I mean, I'm not being disrespectful to anyone from urban London, but I just don't get it personally.
I respect what you're saying, I do, but I feel that this does a good enough job with the visuals, that it has the tilting, low-angle look of the building itself, so it's like a grey monolithic spaceship, like Close Encounters, do you see? And the lighting and the zigzagging lines, and the point when they run down the staircase, the frenetic energy and kinetic editing of that, and establishing where these characters come from, their families and their backgrounds. This is a director really thinking about how this urban brutalist environment looks and how it functions, and the characters, how you get a sense of who they are. They're kids. And that's the funny thing, because of the initial attack on them when they're masked, and they basically are the stereotypical muggers, and they're meant to be perceived as such. And you get Sam and her neighbour calling them their fucking monsters. You see, it's foreshadowing. Monsters attacking other monsters. That's how we are meant to perceive them, but because we know these kids, we know where they come from, and we follow them, and we follow their plight, running away from these monsters and ultimately defending themselves against these monsters, you are made to sympathise with them. Yes, they come from a background that we don't necessarily come from or understand all the time, but they're characters, they're going through an arc, and that did surprise me with this is a guy really thinking about how this works as a story and as a movie, a visual experience, and I didn't entirely expect that from one half of the Adam and Joe show, but
yeah, because they're famous really for doing sort of a bit like what Robot Chicken, I suppose, is famous for now, which is kind of the making little toy figures talk and stuff like that, and cuddly bears and all that. And
doing film parodies, so to be fair, they have experience or knowledge of how films work or look and what appeals to them.
Mm. But I suppose this movie, as you said earlier, it's now getting its attention more due to the fact that John Boyega is in this film. And obviously Jodie Whittaker as well, because of Jodie Whittaker's involvement now with Doctor Who. So straight away, if you love sci-fi, and you love Star Wars and Doctor Who, you're pretty bound to be a fan of this film because of those two actors.
You're bound to catch up on this to go, this is where they came from, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's probably the first time I've said this on this segment so far, but...
Well, we've reached a milestone then?
I think so, and that is that I wasn't overly that keen on this movie, to be honest, because I just found it difficult to understand the character's language. But other than that, I'm not knocking the way it was filmed or the special effects or anything like that. I thought the aliens were really cool. I thought John Boyega was fantastic as the leader. I thought Jodie Whittaker was really good. I thought the acting was really good by everyone in the film, but again, it has a lot of similarities to other movies as well. I mean, I noticed that this tower block thing became more apparent, I suppose, in the early 2010s with a movie like this and The Raid, and a personal favourite, which I hope I'll cover at some point, whether it's on this segment or not, I don't know, and that is Dread, because another tower block movie, which I think has a few similarities to this, with drug dealers being in the top building, same as Dread. I don't know if you saw that similarity at all.
I didn't at first, but thank you for bringing up that the early 2010s were an interesting time for the tower block action movie.
There is also a French movie, which I will mention as well, which has a tower block one called The Horde, which I think came out around the 2009 mark, in which that's a zombie film in a tower block. But yeah, I think tower blocks sort of became a bit more around that time.
That was when they flourished, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, anything else you want to wrap up about Attack the Block?
Well, I understand where you and perhaps other people are coming from with the lingo being a large distracting factor in this. Certainly watching it again for the purposes of this video, it took me a good half an hour to get over it and get on with viewing other aspects of the movie, or enjoying the emotional narrative journey of these characters without wanting to sound too flowery and pretentious here. It's a good action sci-fi movie in this vein, and you can tell this is someone who has experience watching movies and adding elements of that here, because this is very much in the mould of Escape from New York or Die Hard, in that these are characters that don't rely on brute strength. They rely on improvised weapons and their own wits. And again, that's how you come to care about these characters. They're not superhuman.
I didn't see a lot of comedy though in the movie. I assumed there was going to be more laughs, but there wasn't that many laughs. And Nick Frost himself was kind of relegated to sort of just because we got Nick Frost in the movie, it kind of felt that it was like that. You didn't really see very much of him. I reckon he must be in the movie for at least less than 20 minutes, I'm guessing. Yeah,
I think even less than 20 minutes, yeah.
So being a Nick Frost fan, that disappoints me a little bit. I would like to have seen more.
That's fair enough. And again, you raise a good point with, because it's from the British film industry, a sci-fi movie that, not if not parodying, at least pastiching or paying tribute to other genre films, you expect an element of comedy, which is not here. It is mostly, aside from the absurd premise of hooded teenagers against alien monsters, is being played deadly straight here. As an example of the British film industry doing movies like this, I feel it is a better made effort than something like Strippers Werewolves.
I've not even heard of that one.
Look it up. It's a real movie.
Wow.
I had a work colleague who auditioned for it as one of the werewolves.
Wow. Hopefully not one of the strippers then. That's good. That's good. But one thing I don't know if I noticed, I can't remember, but being an early 2010s movie, did the characters in this film, did they actually possess smartphones? Because I don't recall it. I think they might have just been generic mobile phones. It didn't look like smartphones were used.
I didn't look closely enough, but I don't think these kids would have been able to afford smartphones.
That's what I thought you were going to say. The stereotypical urban Londoners who are probably living life in the poverty I'm guessing, right?
So it would be authentic.
Yeah, I suppose so. But also, I thought it was kind of funny that I saw one of the characters has a scooter, which is for Pizza Go-Go, which in the UK is a independent pizza franchise. And kind of surprised that they didn't get a bigger name branding in there, whether it was Pizza Hut or a McDonald's or a Burger King, something like that. But I suppose Pizza Go-Go makes it more English.
More English and, like we said, more of that social milieu, and it would have been a bit too distracting, in my opinion.
You reckon?
Yeah.
But it could have helped internationally, though, right?
It's a valid point.
But do you reckon in America, though, this would have been tweaked for the language to make it a bit more listenable? Because I don't think Americans would want to watch it with subtitles, really.
It does make me wonder how well this movie did internationally,
I'm not really sure, to
compromises or any subtitles were added.
Yeah.
But I think it is comprehensible, at least in its plot. You can get the gist of what's going on.
Is it a movie that, because you like it, it's one you own, or...?
Not at the time of recording, no.
Oh, okay. It's not something that I'd probably bother watching again, to be honest. I think it's one of those ones that, for me, a time watch thing. Some movies are like that. You have a film where you'll watch it and you'll go, yeah, it was alright for what it is. But even good movies, you don't need to watch again and again, like something like Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan, to really appreciate what the story's about, because it's not like you're going to discover anything new in it, in like rewatch value.
Not,
you get what I mean?
Not as much as a Shaun of the Dead or Hot Fuzz, absolutely. But you might watch it again, and with the benefit of having watched other movies, to go, oh, I see why that's called Wyndham's Tower, or I see the allusion to Escape from New York here, like I did. But
it's not like I could exactly go and say, oh, I'm going to go and watch Schindler's List again with this big smiley face. I'm kind of thinking, doesn't sound right, really, to be smiling and wanting to watch that over and over.
It is a kinetic and engaging action movie.
Yeah.
I would recommend watching it at least the once with mates and with beer.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, I suppose that comes to the end of Attack the Block. So,
I think that's covered everything, yes.
Yeah, so I think one of us enjoyed it very much and one of us just, I guess, enjoyed it. So apologies if we didn't agree on that one, but no. I think that's a good thing. At least it shows that there are differences in people's opinions, and this is what this is all about. This is all about that my opinion will always be different to his, and there will be things that we do agree on, but we're not going to agree on everything. And I suppose that's the great thing about life. It'd be pretty boring if we liked everything.
Yes.
Well, I suppose that's my social commentary for the day. But
very profound.
Oh, what's that?
What?
What's that sound? It's a twister spinner, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
It's the twister spinner again. So it looks like this one was sci-fi. So according to the board, it looks like the movie that replacing Attack the Block is Ready Player One. It looks like Ready Player One has replaced Attack the Block on this board here. So let's spin the wheel and see what it lands on next. It's landed on horror. You know what that means?
No.
It means, according to this, it's Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Oh boy.
With Halloween around the corner as well, that's bloody good timing, but at the same time, completely random. I'm totally honest with you, we did not fix this. This is completely random. Halloween 3, he's giving me that look like, really? Halloween 3? You'll have to see the next episode to find out what we both agree on this video or not, and we'll see how it goes. So, thank you very much for tuning in to this week's episode of What Did You Think? And we forgot to plug it on the last couple of videos, but be sure to like and subscribe, share this video with your friends, And follow us on our social network channels on the official Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, and of course here on YouTube. We do have a Patreon site which has started. We're hoping that if you guys really like our content, you might want to help support us and maybe even suggest a couple of movies that we could talk about maybe in these What Did You Think segments, because it would be great to hear some feedback from you guys. So I suppose thank you very much, Andrew, for taking part in this.
You're very welcome.
And we'll see you guys very soon. All the best.